coming to you live from Ukraine's western city of Lviv, which has now become a hub to the tens of thousands of people who have been fleeing the fighting in the north, the east and the south of the country. Well, as we've been reporting, the Russian Defense Ministry, through the Russian media, has announced a partial ceasefire in two southern cities of Ukraine that have experienced intense shelling over the past few days. The city of Mariupol and Varnavacha will face a humanitarian corridor allowing those thousands of people who have been stuck because of the Russian shelling and firing to come out. Although earlier I spoke to Ukrainian officials who said they're still waiting to get the buses and the various other means to get the civilians out of the city. Well, Dan Johnson has the very latest.
Every day, more Ukrainians are experiencing the devastation of this war. Close to Kiev, Yevgen's house is the latest to be hit as Russian forces get nearer. He says the fire started with a sudden explosion in his children's bedroom. They'd gone to the shops just 10 minutes earlier. This fear and panic is spreading across the country as this creeping invasion trudges on. But this morning, a glimmer of hope. Russia's defense ministry says humanitarian corridors are open from two cities, enabling people to leave safely. It's not yet been confirmed by the Ukrainians, and their president had warned that without more help from NATO countries, more of his people would be condemned.
For 9 days we have been seeing a fierce war. They are destroying our cities, shelling our people, our children, residential neighbourhoods, churches, schools. They are destroying everything that ensures a normal life, human life, and they want to continue it, knowing that new strikes and casualties are inevitable. NATO deliberately decided not to close the sky.
So who can blame families for trying to escape? These are Ukrainian soldiers helping their own people over the remains of a wrecked bridge so they can get to somewhere safe. A rocket hit the building next to ours, Irina says. We're scared and we can't sleep. People in panic don't know what to do, Alexander says. The children have been in the basement and they have nothing to eat. So this was Kiev station yesterday. It's become a sending off point for separating families heading further west. Fathers, sons and brothers are being left behind to fight. The UN says 1.2 million people have now left the country. And yesterday we saw the real risk of more than just people crossing Ukraine's borders. An explosion and fire next to the country's biggest nuclear power station underlined the potential for this conflict to spiral. And now there are reports Russian forces are advancing on a second plant. So other European capitals are taking note. Look at the crowd in Prague in the Czech Republic. A huge show of support for Ukraine and opposition to Vladimir Putin.
Well, a new Iron Curtain has fallen in Russia, and this time it's an information Iron Curtain.
His invasion's affecting his own country as well. American networks like CBS have joined some British and other international news organizations suspending reporting from Russia. The Kremlin refuses to call this a war or an invasion, and it's passed new laws threatening anyone it deems to be spreading fake news about what it terms a special military operation, with 15 years in prison. The biggest impact, though, is on Ukraine's towns, cities and its people, increasingly bombarded and beleaguered, and it's likely worse is still to come. Dan Johnson, BBC News.
Well, as Dan was saying there in his piece, it really is the civilians who are suffering and struggling as they're caught up in the ongoing fighting. But that humanitarian corridor has temporarily opened up. And earlier I spoke to the deputy mayor of Mariupol, Sergei Orlov, who said that those people trying to evacuate claim that the fighting still continues. Have a listen.
2-3 hours ago, we received information about ceasefire, and possibility to settle humanitarian corridor. And we start our procedure of evacuation. It has a lot of difficulties because city is still without any communication, electricity, cellular phone, and so on, other utilities. But anyway, we inform our people with all possibilities. So we prepared 50 municipal buses. It's big buses, I think up to 100 person each. So that's why up to 5,000 or 6,000 citizens will be able to evacuate. When I am providing this interview, the situation changes. So I received information that in Mariupol ceasefire started, but there is some conflict and fights on Zaporizhia region. That's why we are waiting to start in ceasefire during all the humanitarian corridor from Mariupol to Zaporizhia. The situation is changes, but we believe we'll be able to realize our plan for today.
And we know that the ceasefire is going to last for about 5 hours today, and you need to get at least 200,000 people out of the city, civilians who are stuck. Do you think this ceasefire will extend into tomorrow?
We believe in that, and I know that Ukrainian government worked to do 1 or 2 or 3 ceasefire more, and we work on it. I'm sure it will be realized.
Just tell us the situation on the ground in Mariupol, because of course it's come under heavy shelling in the last few days. Tell us what the civilians there are going through.
The situation is terrible and awful because city is under continuous bombing and shelling. As I told before, Russian army use all kind of weapons it has. So they use artillery, tactic rockets, multiple launch rocket systems, etc. At night, Russian airplane bombed the city, all the districts of the city. That's why city municipal infrastructure are destroyed hour by hour, second by second. The city looks like destroyed at the moment.
Yeah, and you talked about these 50 buses. Have you managed to get them into Mariupol, or are you still waiting?
No, we didn't have confirmation that all the road is safe. The road exactly from Mariupol is safe, but during the road there are some points that are under contact, and we are waiting of confirmation to all the road.
So you're waiting to hear, are you speaking directly to the Russian side about this, or are you speaking to the Ukrainian army?
Not us, not municipality, not us. There are some representatives of Ukrainian government who communicate, and we communicate directed to the governor of Donetsk region. It's under his control, always organized.
So can I just get some clarity? At the moment, people haven't started to leave Mariupol as yet.
In organized way, no. I think some people are started to leave by their private cars, but in organized way by buses, no.
That was the Deputy Mayor of Mariupol, Sergei Orlov, speaking to me earlier, saying that even though some people are trying to use that humanitarian corridor, there's still some fighting that continues, and they're trying to get those 50 buses to get as many civilians out of Mariupol as possible while that humanitarian corridor window is open for them. Well, we also heard overnight from Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, who slammed NATO members for refusing to impose a no-fly zone over the skies of Ukraine.